People didn't doubt Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas because the relationship looked fake. They doubted it because it broke familiar patterns. This isn't a love story. It's an examination of why public judgment formed faster than understanding, and why it felt reasonable at the time.
We met through a friend, so we got connected first over text, and
He DM'd me, actually.
Uh-huh.
So millennial of us.
Yeah.
we started talking for a while, and it was about 6 months before we met up in person. And then we actually attended the Met Gala a few years ago together.
Oh, yeah.
Had a great time.
I arrived at the Met Gala in a bus because the train was 20 feet long.
And was Nick Jonas driving the bus, or what is he doing? What's going on? Are you dating Nick Jonas? Isn't he like 11 years old?
We were both wearing Ralph Lauren, and we decided to go together because it was fun.
Really interesting.
Yeah, I didn't ask his age. 11?
Yeah, he's 11 years old.
We then met up a couple months ago, I think 5 months ago now, and it was kind of immediate. And I think we just knew it was right and jumped right in, and we're very happy.
Priyanka Chopra's public framing followed a familiar but loaded arc. Rising from Miss World to Bollywood stardom and then into Western entertainment, her trajectory was often portrayed as a strategic move rather than a natural progression. Coverage emphasized ambition over craft. She was portrayed less as a performer moving across systems and more as someone navigating them with intent. That framing produced a secondary idea, that she was too established, too experienced, too aware. Paired with a younger partner, her confidence became leverage, not a neutral point. Nick Jonas entered public imagination from the opposite direction. His Disney-era legacy and Jonas Brothers nostalgia froze him in youth-coded terms. Emotional, softer, less dominant. Adult achievements followed, but the earlier template was rarely updated. Celebrity branding rarely evolves at the same pace as real people. Public memory tends to freeze individuals at their most recognizable moment, then resists updating that image. For Priyanka Chopra, ambition became the defining lens. For Nick Jonas, youth became the default frame. When those fixed perceptions were placed side by side, they didn't appear complementary. They appeared incompatible. The backlash against Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas didn't develop slowly. It arrived almost fully formed. One of the first triggers was the age gap. A 10-year difference became central not because it was unusual, but because it challenged a gendered norm. Older men dating younger women rarely provoke sustained scrutiny. The reverse still does, especially when the woman appears more established. PR relationship assumptions followed quickly.
I think we were both in different places in our lives, and also I may have discounted Nick a little bit before I met him, which is a good lesson in humility and, never judge a book by its cover. And I kind of did till I went out on my first date with him, and then I just kind of knew that this was my person.
His message was, I've been told we should meet. How cocky.
You were like, you know what, you're too young when you met him. You're like, no, not you. Age is really just a number.
I mean, I don't think about it.
From dating to engagement to marriage was read through a media environment trained to distrust celebrity authenticity. At the center of the confusion surrounding Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas was a basic misinterpretation. The assumption that public branding reliably reflects private intent. This wasn't driven by malice or hostility, but by habit. Audiences are trained to read celebrity behavior symbolically, not behaviorally. Celebrities are encountered as brands before they are encountered as people. Their public presence is designed for clarity and repetition, which creates distance without requiring deception. That distance is often filled with inference. Confidence becomes calculation. Privacy is read as secrecy. Silence is interpreted as control. These were the three dominant misreads. Priyanka Chopra's composure and media fluency were treated as orchestration rather than professionalism. Nick Jonas's restraint and relative quiet were framed as an imbalance rather than a preference. In both cases, interpretation relied less on observable behavior and more on meaning already assigned to their public images. People weren't assessing how the relationship functioned. They were responding to what the relationship represented within existing cultural narratives. Away from timelines, headlines, and reaction cycles, the relationship between Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas presented something far less dramatic than expected. Sustained consistency.
I think we settled into our roles as husband and wife like fairly quickly.
I have a lot of faith in who my husband is. And I know I have a lot of faith in the rock that he is for our family.
In verified interviews across years, their descriptions of each other and of their partnership rarely shifted. There was no escalation in language, no rebranding of the relationship to fit changing public moods. The framing stayed steady: family first, work-oriented, and deliberately grounded. Both repeatedly emphasized similar values without spectacle.
What was it about Priyanka that made you say, hey, this is it, this is right?
So many things. I mean, I could go into all of it and get all mushy. I think that the thing that really connected both of us is our love for family.
We have that in common very much, and I think, we've known each other for a couple of years, but we just dated for just a little while. But I think that's the one thing we really connect on is our love for family and knowing, like, faith is so important to us.
Family was discussed as a structure, not a sentiment. Discipline and work ethic came up not as selling points, but as shared assumptions. There were no escalating PR gestures designed to counter criticism, no dramatic interviews reframing the backlash, no cycles of manufactured conflict followed by reconciliation. Messaging remained controlled and repetitive, almost deliberately unresponsive to speculation. In an attention economy, that restraint is unusual, and it often reads as dull. The most significant shift came in 2022, with the public disclosure around their daughter's NICU stay. This moment redirected attention from spectacle to vulnerability, but without dramatization.
To my beautiful wife, the greatest gift, and I love being a parent with you.
Do events like this get harder when you have a little one at home, or is Maltese secretly backstage? No.
She's asleep. God, can you imagine?
Over time, the most telling development in the Priyanka Chopra relationship timeline was not what happened, but what didn't. The anticipated consequences never arrived. There was no visible power imbalance fallout, no gradual exposure of hidden tensions, no escalation that confirmed early suspicions. PR-based assumptions also failed to materialize. If the relationship had been constructed primarily for optics, it would have required sustained amplification to justify itself. That amplification never came. There were no increasingly elaborate gestures, no rebranding cycles, no narrative pivots to keep attention engaged. The story did not grow louder. It grew quieter. Cultural conflict narratives faded as well. Predictions that differences in background, tradition, or expectation would eventually surface never found traction. The large, symbolic wedding, once treated as excess, settled into the background as a single event rather than a defining strategy. Behind the scenes of Priyanka and Nick's wedding, nothing emerged later that reframed it as a warning sign. Skepticism can feel rational when it aligns with internal narratives we already trust. Age, gender, culture, and power expectations intersected here in ways that made disbelief feel justified. An older woman with visible ambition disrupted familiar scripts. A younger man without overt dominance complicated expectations of masculinity. Cultural unfamiliarity filled gaps with assumptions rather than curiosity. Priyanka Chopra and Nick Jonas didn't confuse the internet because the relationship was strange. They confused it because it refused to behave like a headline, a trope, or a warning story. What assumption do you think shaped the backlash the most? Comment below. More culture breakdowns are coming!